think about this whole thing called public TV, Donald?
Well, if I could have picked a better vehicle for to focus on what my beliefs are as an individual, it couldn't have been anything other than public TV. This is probably one of the most unique and wonderful opportunities that any artist could have. But more than that, public TV is a responsibility for all of us. I have a belief about where this world is right now and where things need to go in this world and where truth is in the world and where integrity is in the world. And public television, for me, as an artist, is an arena that fits into the dichotomy of all of that. It's all about truth and integrity. It's all about showing us, true news and education in its purest form. That's what it's all about. So for me, public television kind of, to be at this point in my life, it's not a performance opportunity to me. It is an opportunity to, as an artist, do something good, do something right. I was the last born of parents that were performing artists. My mother was a graduate of North Texas State University, and then she went on to New York and had a very successful career as a classical artist, as a classical soprano, spinto soprano. She was, in my personal opinion, probably one of the greatest singers that has ever lived. My father, one of the most fabulous lyric tenors, I think, that has ever come along, traveled from Louisiana State University, escaped from Louisiana in a family that knew nothing about music, loved him to death but could not understand him and his passion for music. And he traveled to New York to try to become a performing artist as well. They ultimately met and fell in love in the original Broadway cast of Little Abner. And my mother had some, they did a lot of Broadway shows, but my mother had some outstanding achievements. She actually did a show very similar to America's Got Talent for its day. She did a show called Chance of a Lifetime. And she was one of the winners in Chance of a Lifetime, and one of the rewards was she would become a Firestone artist and be able to travel as a Carnegie Series artist. And she would also be able to perform on the Arthur Godfrey Show, which was a very special thing for an artist at that time. For me, classical music was very much ingrained in me from early on, and I wouldn't listen to anything else but classical music from the time I was a child. And so by the time I was about 7 or 8 years old, I was performing in a lot of the things that they were doing, whether they were concerts or whether they were the plays that they were involved in. I was a boy soprano, so I was always involved on the music side. So it just sort of fell suit that I would one day go into the music field in some capacity or entertainment in some capacity. And as it was after high school, I decided I would audition for the Juilliard School, and I was very fortunate to get into the Juilliard School. But being raised up in a family like that was amazing. And I still remember the first smells as a child in the theater, and the way the old wood smelled, and the sawdust everywhere, and thinking this is what I want to do, and feeling those lights as a child on that stage, and feeling what that feeling is like, and hearing that rush of sound from an audience when they have a response to something that you or somebody else did on that stage. And it was a world that I just understood. It was a world where I felt at home. I won the Licia Albanese Puccini Foundation grant for vocal studies, and it was a vocal competition. And they told me at that time that I would be studying with Franco Corelli as part of my award. And Corelli was my idol at the time. He was my greatest idol as a tenor, and I had never met Franco Corelli, and I had dreamt and dreamt and dreamt of the day I could one day meet Franco Corelli, because I thought he was just phenomenal. When I first worked with Franco Corelli for the first time in his studio on 57th Street, I didn't know what to expect. I knew he was teaching students. I knew he had several students, and I'd actually heard some of the students perform, and they were all wonderful, wonderful artists. But I didn't know, there was kind of this mystery about the way he taught voice that no one would talk about for some reason. And I think the reason that was is because Corelli didn't really teach voice. he showed singers where it came from him and how he felt the music and why he felt the music and how it really kind of created itself within him. And he was a real technician, but he didn't really translate technique. The teacher that I had in New York City at the time, a gentleman named Franco Bertacci, who was a maestro vocal technician in New York,